Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Kurum Mumukshu Nam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Vidiyate. In this text, Tattva Bodha, in the beginning, he talks about adhikaritva, the qualification of a Shishya who is qualified to get into the vichara, inquiry of the truth. Tattva Bodha means inquiry into truth, not taking anything for granted. The obvious world and this obvious personality is questioned, analyzed objectively to determine as to what is the truth. That is Tattva Bodha. And to be able to do this, you need to be relatively peaceful, free from preoccupations, isn't it? If our mind is full of preoccupations, it becomes difficult to do this vichara, inquiry. That's why, in a way, people say, why you take up scripture so early? In the sense, has your mind dropped all the preoccupations? If in case there are preoccupations and you push them aside and then you get into the inquiry, it's a problem. So what we say to them is, deeper inquiry you may start when your mind starts becoming free from preoccupations, but at least you should start studying the scriptures when you are young. So that is Brahmacharya Ashrama, then Grahastha Ashrama, which is the laboratory. Then you get on to the Vichara and all in detail when you come to Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So first he talked about Adhikaritva. Then the Jiva Vichara starts. A qualified student starts analyzing the Jiva, the individual. After that, he gets on to Shrishti Vichara or Jagat Vichara, the world, inquiry into the world. Because when we contact the world, there is experience. And that is life. Series of experience flowing is life. So basically, Vedantic study, Tattva Bodha, is nothing but study of life, study of the individuality, study of the world, study of life, the study of contact with the world. And then after Jiva Jagat Vichara, he comes to the Vichara of the conclusion. What is that? Jiva Ishvara Aikya Sambandham. The Jiva and Ishvara, meaning the essence in the Jiva and the Jagat is Ishvara. Therefore, Jiva is Ishvara. The Jiva is not this body, mind, intellect, personality, that which has been given a name, which is limited, but it is that Lord Ishvara. Now, once you know this equation internally, once you have internalized this equation, you are a wise person. What is the fruit of such an inquiry? Phalam, that he discusses in the end. So now we have completed Adhikaritu. Then we got into the study of Jiva Vichara. So there it starts with inquiry into truth. What is this Atma? So what is the truth when you inquire? Tattva Viveka Kaha. What is this inquiry into the truth? He says very clearly when he talks about that, he says, Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mitya Iti. Atma alone is real. Everything else other than that is Mithya. So then obviously the inquiry will proceed to what is Atma. Now when he discusses about what is Atma, and what is Atma, when they say Atma in Sanskrit means I in English. Now why we have to do this vichara? Because the cause of all our suffering is the misunderstanding of this Atma. Instead of understanding Atma correctly, we have superimposed many factors upon this Atma, upon this I, and have misunderstood it as that, and therefore we go through all the sufferings. So through this vichara, all these misunderstandings, misconceptions have to be removed. When the misconceptions and misunderstandings are removed, the true I remains. And that true I is free from all problems, all worries, all anxieties. Nothing affects the true I. Nothing affects you. You become free, absolutely. That's the idea. We get into this vichara to become absolutely free, not to become more stuffed with information at the head level. That is only going to burden us more. As it is, we have too many information, which is undigested. And all this thing which is not digested is giving us intellectual diarrhea. Along with that, we get into this also, and we'll have further problem. And nobody wants to come near us. Because any party, anything they call us, we start talking. Do you know what is Atma? Do you know what is this? You know what is? Hare Babre, please leave us. So it is not for intellectual curiosity, it is for internalization and to bring about the transformation of freedom. So the next question is, what is this Atma? Atma kaha? And this is unknown to us. So first we have to analyze the known things and negate all these things that has been superimposed, and then assert the substratum, the truth. And that's the method he uses, the process of negation and assertion when he talks about Atma. This is important because it cannot be directly understood. First, what all has been what all you are understanding is I. I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect, I am this. All this he negates. Then what remains? What is the nature of that which remains? That substratum. That is the real I, he says. And that's how he proceeds. Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktaha. That which is other than the gross, subtle and causal bodies. And then Pancha Koshatita Sun. It is of the being of something that is beyond the Pancha Kosha, the 5 sheets. The very word sheet means that which covers but has no effect or contact with the thing with which it covers. The thing that which it covers. For example, a sword is inserted into a sheath. Actually, the sheath and sword has no contact. It's like that. It is apparently covering, not really covering. So, Pancha Koshatita San. 5 koshas. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. All this we are going to study. Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira means gross, subtle and causal body. And then Avastatraya Sakshihi. The 3 states of consciousness that the jiva goes through, called Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti, waking, dream, deep sleep. It is Sakshi to all this. It's a witness to all this. It's a Sakshi Chaitanyam. That is, all till now, it is negation. After having negated all this, then assertion comes. It says Satchidananda Swarupaha San. It is of the nature of Sat, existence, Chit, consciousness. Ananda, bliss. So your visiting card, this is your visiting card. Who am I? You just want to use the assertion, you say, I am Sat Chit Ananda. Right? If you want to say the full thing, then you can say the whole thing. Stula Sukshma Sharira Vyatiriktaha. Right? Panchakoshatita San. Then Jagrat Swapna Sushupti Avastatraya Sakshihi and Satchidananda Swarupa. Ya Tishtati Sa Atma. This is Atma. Then he gets on to the analysis of what is this Tula Shariram. This is what we were studying finally in the last class. Isn't it? We studied up to Stula Shariram, no? Am I right? Anybody? Nobody knows. Nobody is studying at home. That's the problem. Can anybody tell me we finished up to Stula Shariram, right?
Yes, sir.
We haven't started Sukshma Shariram. So, when this inquiry starts about Stula Shariram, I'll share that screen with you. Stula Shariram Kim. What is the Stula Sharira? Now, first of all, the word Sharira means that which is subject to destruction, perishable. Stula means gross. Gross body, which is subject to destruction. And he says, this Stula Shariram is made up of 5 great elements that has undergone the process of Panchikarana. Now, Panchikarana in English, Swamiji translates it in Atma Bodha, because in Atma Bodha also Adi Shankara talks about this Panchikarana. It is nothing but pentamerous self-division and mutual combination of the elements. Before these elements come into gross form, these 5 elements, space, air, fire, water, earth. Before these 5 elements come into gross form, they existed in subtle form. Everything is like this, isn't it? First you conceive in the head and then you actually make the product. That's how everything is done. You first conceive a pen in the head. Then you produce it at the gross level. So before anything comes at the gross level, it first exists in the subtle level. So these 5 elements which are there in subtle level, called as pure elements, tanmatras, they go through certain modifications. They divide and go through certain modifications. And then they combine in a certain proportion. And that combined elements are not pure, they are mixture. In the gross earth that you take and analyze, it has got the other 4 elements also to some extent. Similarly, air, fire, water, earth. So they are called gross elements. This gross world is made up of gross elements, and this gross body is made up of gross elements. This much you understand. Later on, he's going to talk about it. So that which is made up of the 5 great elements that have undergone the process of Panchikarana. And how did you get this body? He says, you got this body as a result of your good actions of the past. We have so many actions done, and we have collected a lot of good and bad karmas. Of them, some have fructified and has given this body. Of the things that is fructified, you should have good amount of punya karma, then only you will get this physical body as human body. Otherwise, because only in human body you have the capacity to choose, you have the capacity to conceive of something beyond this universe and posit divinity, reality, and aspire for it and merge with it and become liberated. Therefore, it is very rare to get such a body. All they want to say is don't waste it, don't waste this potential, don't throw it away, use it, don't abuse it. That's the idea. So it is born as the result of the good actions of the past. And in that also, what kind of body, further, male body, female body, and this, that, all kinds of things, whether everything is functioning normally or if there is any problem in it, all that is because of our karma. That's all they want to say. Right? Whatever we have earned, this is something we have earned. See, when you worked so hard and earned something, why would you throw it away? When you bring up your children also, you just like that keep giving them everything for which they have not earned, for which they have not worked, they won't know the value of it. But when you tell them, you work and you get it yourself, then they understand the value of it. See, even extremely rich people, filthy rich people, they also, if you see, they tell their children, listen, maximum up to graduation will pay for your education. After that, post-graduation and all, you do it yourself. And if they decide to study abroad, they have to sustain themselves. They can easily pay for their, sustenance and everything, not just for the sons and daughters. Maybe next 7 generations they can pay. But they say, listen, you do it yourself. A fellow has to understand the value of it. So when we read these things, we also simultaneously develop the value of it and we start taking care of it. We don't become fatalistic. We become more responsible. Later on, he's going to talk about karma in detail. Because a lot of us have this idea, if you study about karma and all that, you'll become fatalistic. No, if you really understand correctly, you will not become fatalistic. You will become more responsible. So he therefore says, born as the result of good actions of the past. And what is it? It is the counter of experience of joy and sorrow. It is the counter of experiences like joy and sorrow. It is not the instrument. When he talks about the subtle body next, he'll say that is the instrument. So, bhoga ayatanam. Ayatanam means home, house. Right? So, this is the counter. In the house, a person lives. And like that, who is the person who is living in this house? The mind, the subtle body. You understand? So, this physical body is only the counter, really speaking, through which you need a counter to transact, to experience. That way it is important. You understand? So, therefore, take care of the counter also. If everything is all right with the subtle body, but you've done something wrong with the gross body, then the counter is not there to experience. Therefore, you have to take care of it. Two things that happens here. One is we develop objectivity. We are talking about all these things. These are things that can be objectified. Therefore, I am not that. This is the object, I am the subject. And I am analyzing it. As I am analyzing it, what happens is I begin to understand the value of it and I develop this attitude, I must take care of them. And also, I have this objectivity. I stand apart. I don't get involved. Both are good for us. So that's why we say that's how you can become the CEO of your life. Always we say CEO of your life topic. Then everybody comes. Tattva Bodha, hardly anybody comes. Nobody will say, Hey Baba, what is this Tattva Bodha? Same thing you say, learn how to control yourself. Become the master of your life. So many people will come. Master means what? How you understand, then you can deal with it. The more you understand, the more you can deal with it. That's the idea. So this physical body is bhoga ayatanam. It is the counter of experiences of joy and sorrow. Both are called bhoga. Bhoga generally means enjoyment. It is where you enjoy all this. Enjoy means go through the experiences of sukha, dukkha. And what is its nature? It is something that undergoes 6 modifications. First modification, you can divide it into many different ways. Here he talks about these 6 modifications. You can do it in different ways. Asti, first thing. Asti means garbhavasam. This body first is in the garbha of the mother. Garbhavasam. Then it is born. Jayate. Asti, garbhavasam, being in the womb. Then jayate means born, comes to birth. Then what happens? Vardate means it starts growing. We keep eating food, consuming water and air and everything. And then slowly we keep growing up to a certain age. Right? And then after that what happens? Asti, jayate, vardate. Then comes viparinamate. Thereafter you are not growing vertically. You are modifying. The modification is you means the body here. Modifications are happening in the body. You can see the hair is turned grey. And you can see all modifications. Slowly. Eyes losing its capacity. You are wearing the glass. All these modifications are happening. Isn't it? They mature and starts modifying. And then decay, slowly it starts deteriorating. Apakshiyate. Then vinashyati. Vinashyati means what? Finally gets completely destroyed. Death happens. This is this body. So, it is something that is coming into existence, then manifesting, then growing, then modifying, then decaying, then dying. Now, the fact that we are studying all this, we are aware at all levels. So, we are that awareness beyond all this. We are not this. This is the objectivity we get. You understand? So, this is the gross body. As he said, no. What is Atma? Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, Yatiriktaha. So, Stula Shariram is completed. Then what is Sukshma Sharira? That's the next. Sukshma Shariram Kim Apanchikrita Panchamahabhutai Kritam Satkarmajanyam Sukadukkadi Bhoga Sadhanam Pancha Jnanendriyani Pancha Karmendriyani Pancha Pranadaya Manaschaikam. After Manaschaikam he says Buddhishchaika Evam Saptadashakalabihi Saha Yatishtati Tat Sukshma Shariram. So, what is Sukshma Shariram? He says, what is this subtle body? That which is composed of the 5 great elements which have not undergone grossification. You understand? Now, when he talked about the gross body, he said it is composed of the 5 elements that has undergone the process of grossification. So now when he's talking about the subtle body, he says it is made up of, composed of the 5 elements that has not undergone grossification. Means the composition is of subtle elements. And what is this? This is also something you have gotten because of your punya karma. You understand? So same thing he says, it is born of what? Good actions of the past. Without the good actions, you would not get this subtle body and proper subtle body. Like again, like we said there, firstly getting the human body, human subtle body, and then differences. There's so many bodies now. Animals, birds, and this and that. So many bodies are there. Then there are other kinds of defects in each and every body. So all this is according to our karma. That's what he wants to say. Each one gets according to one's karma. Then the interesting thing, now when he talks about subtle body, he is saying it is the instrument of the experience of joy and sorrow. It is the instrument for the experience of joy and sorrow. It is sadhanam. There he used the word ayatanam. Here he says bhoga sadhanam when he talks about subtle body. There when he talked about gross body, he said bhoga ayatanam. So this is the instrument for the experiences of joy and sorrow. So that's why, where do you experience joy and sorrow? In the mind. But you need the counter for going through that experience. But where actually the experience happens? In the mind. And he says, it is constituted of 17 parts. Sapta, Dasha. Sapta means 7. Dasha means 10. Sapta Dasha means 17. Kala means parts, items, instruments. So he says, Sapta Dasha Kala, Kalabhihi. Sapta Dasha Kalabhihi. Means it is made up of 17 parts. See, already, when we studied what is Atma, he said, Stula, Sukshma, Karana Sharirat Yatirikta. Gross, subtle, causal bodies. It is something beyond that. So 3. Then he said, Pancha Koshatita San. It is beyond the 5 koshas. What are they? Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. 8 ho gaya. Then Avastatraya Sakshihi. It is beyond the 3 states of waking, dream, deep sleep. Totally 11 ho gaya. It is beyond all these 11. And then he said, what is it? Satchit Ananda Swarupam. 3. So 11 plus 3, 14 he talked about. Then he started talking about what is body. He said 5 elements, gross elements. Then he said it is due to karma and it is the counter. You got it through good karma and it is the counter and it goes through these modifications. Now he is talking about subtle body and he introduces 17 components, 17 parts. It's all the same thing analyzed further and further and further. So you develop more and more, what do you call, objectivity and you use them properly. What are these 17 components? He says these 17, he is going to talk about it later. First he is just saying here, he is just mentioning Sapta Dasha Kalabhihi Saha Yat Tishtati Tat Sukshma Shariram. You understand? These 17 components. He will explain all this slowly. Next, that is where he will get into. So, these 17 components, what are they? They are 5 Jnanendriyas. 5 Jnanendriyas means 5 organs of perception through which you gain the knowledge. Hence, they are called as Jnana Indriyas. The 5 sense organs. Then, the 5 organs of action. You understand? Through which you act in the world. Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas. Organs of action through which you do actions. Then Pancha Prana, the 5 physiological functions Prana, Apana, Samana, Vyana, Udana. 15 हो गया. 5, 5, 5. Then mind, Mana, Ekam, one mind. Then buddhi, ekam, one intellect. In fact, in some context, we say mana means both mind and intellect. Here he very specifically mentions mind, intellect. All these put together 17. In some other place, you may read it as 19. Don't get confused. What is this 19? 19 means they add chitta and ahankara, memory and ego. Because some places they talk about subtle body as just 4. Adi Shankara, when he gave the, when he went to his guru, apparently at the age of 8, apparently his guru asked, "Who are you?" Then he chanted Atma Shataka. Mano bodhyahankara chittani naham. That one. So mana, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. They say 4 components subtle body. Don't get confused. What happened? They forgot to mention these other 15. It's not like that. In different ways they mention. Here he just mentioned 17. Some places they'll mention 19. Some places they may do different kind of analysis. So don't get confused. 19, 17 all means same. What? Mind, intellect, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas. Total 17. All these 17 put together is the subtle body, he says. Now, a question comes. What is this? 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action is putting them in subtle body. I am having eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. These are all part of the gross body. What is this? These are not the subtle body. The Shakti, when you say eyes, with which you see, that Shakti is in subtle body. This is only the counter. Remember, it's called Gwalakam, Gwalayas. These are the gross aspect of it. Just by seeing somebody's ear, you cannot make out how much he can hear. You talk softly. He says, he goes on asking. Ears are there, why this fellow is asking? Shakti is gone. You understand? So that Shakti is part of the subtle body. So these are Gwalakas. These ears, eyes, nose, skin, tongue, all this that you see at the physical level, they are not the subtle body. They are part of the gross body. They are called Gwalakas. He is talking about the subtle Shakti, the capacity to hear, the capacity to see, the capacity to smell, the capacity to touch, the capacity to hear. All this, you understand, is capacity to taste. All this is the part of subtle body. Similarly, action and the 5 pranas. And these things you can't see. That's why it's subtle. Gross means you can see. Subtle means it is beyond perception. It's difficult to see. You can't see. So that Shakti you don't see. You can't make out just by seeing somebody's ears, how much he can hear. Therefore, it's called subtle. So he says, it is the instrument of the experience of joy and sorrow and so on, constituted of 17 items, 5 sense organs, 5 organs of perception, action, 5 pranas, mind, intellect. All this put together is subtle body. So one is the counter for experience, other is the instrument of experience. Beyond this, there is Karana Shariram. Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatiriktaha is it. So Stula Shariram ho gaya. Then he talks about subtle body. When he talks about subtle body, he introduced what he has introduced now. he introduced Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Panchaprana, Mana, Buddhi. So he has to start talking about it. But he talks about only Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, and after that he gets on to discussing causal body. Then only he gets on to discussing the Panchaprana and all that. There, he will, because when he talks about Panchakosha, because he said, na, Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatirikta. Panchakosha Tita San. So therefore, what he does is, he stops with Jnanendriya explanation, Karmendriya explanation. After that, this prana, mind, intellect, he talks about it when he talks about Panchakosha. Before that, he has to cover causal body. So he talks about causal body. Very methodically he goes. And when he talks about these organs of perception and organs of action, he is going to talk about their area of function, the Vishaya, the object that they contact and experience, and then he's going to talk about the Adhisthana Devata. This concept of Devata is introduced here. Now see, I told you already that all these are brought about in the book Vedanta Treatise by Swamiji. He may not go into such details, but he talks about almost everything. But there he doesn't talk about these Devatas. Now, what are these Devatas? Now we get confused. What is this Devata now? And in our Hindu system, Shastra, 33 crore Devatas are mentioned. 33 crore means not end of it. Means so many Devatas are there. See, we in Hinduism do not believe in too many gods. We only talk about one God. In fact, I say in our classes that we don't talk about one God, we talk about only God. In other words, Vedanta says there is only God. Isn't it? That is the ultimate explanation. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Na Paraha. Brahma Satyam. Brahman alone is real. This Jagat is Mithya. Relative reality. When you probe it, it's not there. It's like mirage. You're seeing, you're going through, you're in the desert, you're thirsty, and it appears like there is water, you run. You're going on running, there's no mirage. Appears to be there, but actually it is not there when you inquire. So Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Jiva, this Jiva, Brahmaiva na Paraha. This Jiva also is none other than Brahman only, nothing else. So therefore, what finally? Only God is there. So it's not one God, only God. So now come to this one God thing. The same one God has manifested as different power centers. Like when a government is running, ultimate authority in the Indian system is Prime Minister. And after Prime Minister, there are so many ministries. Under the ministries, there are state ministries. Right? So like that. Like that, so many ministries we have. Like that, we have so many devatas, gods, G-O-D-S. G starts with small g. When we talk about Brahman and you write it in English, you say G-O-D, singular, and the G starts with capital G. When you write about devatas, you write it as gods. The G starts with small g. And it is given in plural. Gods. Means what? That same central power has manifested as different powers. And see, why we have to study about this? See, this is the beauty. This is where in the science the spirituality comes. You understand? In the analysis the spirituality comes. With proper attitude, you understand that all these are insentient principles. They don't have sentiency by themselves. Right? But when the Atma, the consciousness, is functioning through them, they get the power, they get that Shakti, or they are able to express their Shakti. Put it that way. They are able to express that Shakti because the Atma is enlivening through them. So, Atma enlivening eyes, that Shakti, you say this Devata. That which is enlivening the skin, this Devata. You understand? So, like that, they talk about different Devatas. So, you understand there is a divinity that shapes our end, says Shakespeare. So, when you do many things with your hands, you don't develop ego. You understand? Bhagavan ka blessing da. You ask people, how are you? By God's grace, I am fine. Everything is Rama, Krishna, Hari, Govinda, something other, Shiva. What is this? This is the idea, that humility. Otherwise, you become dry intellect. Just, okay, analyze. You understand? So, he talks about each Adhisthana Devata, deities of all this. Right? Now, certain things we can understand why they say this Devata, certain things you don't understand. You take it with Shraddha. Everything has a power behind it. Without that, nothing happens. If I am talking now here, behind me, my Guru is there. Don't look behind me, literally. So like that, the entire Guru Parampara is there. So if out of humility, I surrender and talk, they talk through me. If wherever I become egoistic, I am talking, which is what you will see as blabbering. This is the idea. So then, every time when we function, so you are prayerful as you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. In fact, in the 4th chapter of the Gita, he introduces 12 yajnas. The entire idea of receipt, reaction, and response. This is what we are doing throughout the day. Receiving the stimuli from the world outside, reacting within, and then responding back to the world. This is what is happening to us. All these receipts, reaction, and response can be converted into worship. Should be converted into worship. And when you gain this knowledge, you will convert that into worship. So your life becomes worshipful living. So, seeing, you see, today what is happening is, we are lost in the object that we see. When you study all these things, you are made to become aware of the power behind the capacity to see. So you shifted from the object to that. You say, how do you go back? How do you withdraw within? Withdraw means what? You cannot just like that squeeze and withdraw. Squeeze your eyes as much as possible. You can't do that. What is this withdrawing? Shifting our attention from what we see to the concept, power center that is behind it. And behind that power center, all the power centers is Ishvara. And that Ishvara is my real Swarupa. Huh? See how beautifully they explain. So that's why we say every day you must contact the scriptures. It's the idea. So that's where in this, when he talks about Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas and all that, he talks about the Devatas, Adhisthana Devatas, the powers behind them, the Shakti. Shakti of Ishvara only is expressed as different Shaktis. You understand? This is the reason. You wonder why, what is the Devata, Givata and all that. You will get confused. Therefore, I explained all this. It's a very important thing. We don't have to really get into the logical thing as to how this Devata, they are saying, where is this Devata? What? Take it out, Shraddha. Don't lose the very purpose for which it is being discussed. The reason it is discussed is this. Don't get lost into other things. You understand? Now, so therefore, gross body, subtle body we have studied. Gross body is composed of 5 gross elements combination. And it is gotten out of good karma. And it is the bhoga ayatanam, the counter for experiences of sukha and dukkha. And it goes through 6 modifications. This is gross body. Then subtle body. Subtle body is composed of the same 5 elements, but that which has not undergone any grossification process. So it's a mixture of 5 subtle elements. And then he said it is also got out of punya karma. You need to have done some punya to get it. And it is bhoga sadhanam. It is the instrument for the experience of joy and sorrow. And it is constituted of 17 parts. 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 5 pranas, mind, intellect. If you wanted to understand further, like I said, in some other context, you will have memory, chitta, and ahankara, ego. All this put together is the subtle body. Sukshma, because it's very subtle, cannot be contacted, cannot be seen. But we know we have a mind, we have this, we have that. That is called subtle body. Now next he gets on to studying what is this jnana indriya. What is jnana indriya? Shrotram tvak chakshuhu rasana granam iti pancha jnanendriyani shrotrasya digdevata tvachau vayuhu chakshusha suryaha rasanaya varunaha granasya ashvinau iti jnanendriya devataha. He is now talked about all this, and then he says shrotrasya vishaya shabda grahanam tvachau vishaya sparsha grahanam chakshusho vishaya rupa grahanam rasanaya vishaya rasa grahanam granasya vishaya gandha grahanam iti. So he says the 5 organs of perception or jnanendriyas are the ears, skin, eyes, tongue and nose. They are called jnana indriyas because through them you gain knowledge. You don't know what an apple is. Somebody brings an apple and they show it to you. Now you say, yeah, I know what an apple is. I understand. So seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, you gain the knowledge. Hence it's called organs of knowledge through which you get knowledge. So it's called jnana indriyas. You understand? And then he says the presiding deities of the organs of perception are space of the ears. Sound travels in space. Certain things, like I said, you little logically you will understand. Something you will not understand doesn't matter. So, Shrotrasya Digdevata. You understand? The space. And for the skin, he says it is air. The Vayu. Shrotrasya Digdevata. Then for the skin, it is Vayu. And for the eyes, it is sun. Surya Devata. Light. And for the tongue, water. And for the nose, Ashwini Kumaras, the twin brothers. Now see, like I said, if you get into the logic and start, you will get into absurdities. Oh, Ashwini Kumaras twin, means 2 nostrils are there. Therefore, he said Ashwini Kumaras. What about we have 2 eyes also? We have 2 ears. And he mentioned only one. Don't get into such things. These are things we take as Shraddha. These devatas, we have no clue. You want to contact them, there are so many upasanas and all that through which you can. The idea is, if you pray to those devatas with certain methodology, you will gain strength, power in those areas. But those powers also in spiritual field, you want to gain not to achieve something materialistic. There are Upanishadic, what do you call, invocations, which talks about strength for the limbs. May my limbs be strong. Not to go and achieve something materially. Something materially we achieve as a byproduct, it's okay. But all this should be used for getting to the self. Something that can be helpful to achieve something great. Why you want to abuse it and get something gross? You will not do it. If you do it, you are not wise. That's what it means. So, water for tongue and two Ashwini Kumaras of the nose. The fields of experience for the organs of perception are cognition of sound for the ear. We know all these things, but he is just mentioning. You hear the sound through the ear, not this physical ear. He's talking about Jnanendriyas. Jnanendriyas are part of what? Subtle body. In the books that Swamiji has written, he will talk about 5 sense centers, right, which are in the mind. The 5 gross senses called Gwalayas are in the body. You know, when many times you hear Swamiji, he'll say this body is housed with 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. He'll say like that. Then when you read the Tattva Bodha, you get confused. Right? Swamiji said this body is housed with 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. He is talking about Gwalayas there. He's not talking about the sense centers. Sense centers are in the mind. You understand? So therefore, he says the fields of experience for the organs of perception are cognition of sound for the ear. What is the Vishaya for the ear? The Vishaya for the ear is sound. And then cognition of touch for the skin. What is the Vishaya for the skin? Sparsha, touch. Skin is there throughout the body. So you get the sense of touch through the skin. And then cognition of form for the eyes. Both color and form. Understand? Not just rupa, but varna. Both color and form through the eyes. Then cognition of taste for the tongue. Through the tongue, you taste. And then cognition of smell for the nose. These are the areas in which they function. These are the objects they perceive and get knowledge, information through them. That's all we say. So the 5 organs of perception and their devatas and what are the functions, what do they perceive, all this he mentioned here. Then he will talk about Jnanendriyas. Vak, Pani, Pada, Payu, Apastaniti, Pancha Karmendriyani, Vacho Devata Vannihi, Hastoyor Indraha, Padayor Vishnuhu, Payor Nrityuhu, Upastasya Prajapatihi, Iti Karmendriya Devataha. So again the same way he continues. And then he says, Vacho Vishaya Bhashanam, Panyor Vishaya Vastu Grahanam, Padayor Vishaya Gamanam, Payor Vishaya Malatyagaha, Upastasya Vishaya Ananda iti. So the 5 organs of actions are organ of speech, hand, feet, the anus, and the genital organs. These are the 5 organs of action. Organ of speech, hands, feet, organ of evacuation, organ of procreation. the presiding deities of the organs of actions. He says, for the speech, it is Agni, fire. We say, fire is speech. With the tongue, you can hurt people's heart. In Tamil, Tiruvalluvar says, Teenal Suttavadu. Means, when you burn somebody's skin with a fire, after it is healed also, still that mark will be there. Isn't it? Teenal Sutta Vadu. Teenal Sutta Pun. Arume, Aradu, Navinal Sutta Vadu, he says. Like that, you say something very sharp to somebody and you didn't talk to each other for a while. And again you became friends. But still, that day, that fellow said this, and that burnt mark is still there. So, therefore, he says, for the speech, the Devata is the fire god. Then for the hands, it is Indra. For the legs, it is Vishnu. The legs is the one which is the foundation, which is holding you. So, it says Vishnu. Then for the anus, which is what? It is throwing away that which is not needed for the body. So, the organ of evacuation. For that, he says Yamaha, the god of death. And then Prajapatihi, for the organ of procreation, reproduction, creation. So Prajapati, the creator, is the Devata. Like I said, certain things you understand, certain things you don't understand. But you accept with Shraddha, you understand everything has Adhisthana Devata. I, as this individual, gross body, subtle body, causal body, enlivened by Atma, this combination is not anything. Ishvara is only enlivening. So when I understand that, then I will develop humility. I will function spiritually. So then the function of the speech is to speak. That of the hands is to grasp things. Of the legs is locomotion, moving from one place to another. Anus is the elimination of the waste. The genitals is pleasure. Ananda means it's an organ of procreation through which you experience pleasure. So this is the nature, the functions of each of the organs of action. Now after this, he doesn't get on to, Pancha Prana, mind, intellect. Because these are the things that are part of subtle body. He straight away gets on to discussing causal body. I told you why. Because how did he talk about Sthula Sukshma Karana Sarirat Vyatirikta? So then he gets on to causal body. Because the pranas, mind and intellect, is going to discuss in Pancha Kosha Vichara. We'll see next week. Let's conclude now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.